everyone, it's Dennis Yusuf here from Inspired Growth Training, and this is the BDM Coach podcast show. Today, we've got the amazing, the one and only Kelly. Kelly, how do I pronounce yours? So I always say Smith, but it's Smyth. Is that
It's
right?
Smyth, yeah.
Smyth,
Yeah,
Kelly Smyth. But
yeah.
I always
You
say,
got
hey,
it.
everyone, I'm catching up with Kelly Smith later, and they go, who? Oh, Kelly Smyth. It's just, I don't
Yeah.
know why, because it's like the Y, right? Is it an I? Is it
Yeah.
a
And
Y?
then people
It's
expect there to be an E on the end if there's Smyth. Not that I've ever met a Smyth with an E on the end, but I can see the confusion.
Do you know what? I don't know if anyone's noticed, but have you ever looked at my name, how it's spelt? So,
Yeah. Good point.
so
Good point.
not only is my first name really difficult to spell correctly, but my surname is also a difficult one because Yusuf can be spelt like five different ways, you
Yeah.
know? Anyway, but the people that know, like even if I'm in another country overseas, a Mediterranean European country, they call me Joseph because that's what
Oh.
Yusuf means, Joseph, you know? Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
Little
Now I
bit of
know.
early trivia for everyone, right? So
Yeah.
it also means Barnabas in Greek. So there's some lessons for
Good.
everyone.
Good. I'll write that one down. Barnabas.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly, love having you on. I think this is like the third podcast that we've done with you now,
I think so, yeah.
so are they as nervous as like, oh no, Dennis has got me on another podcast, like,
I don't prepare for
how does
these
it make
things
you
at
feel?
all. No, I don't prepare for these things at all. I just figure I'll just figure it out once I get there. So no, not really
And
too nerve-wracking.
that's what makes you good, and that's what I love about it because there's no preparation. I literally just sat here and
No.
just so everyone knows, before the meeting, I just wrote five questions down.
And I
So
said, what are we doing again? I was like, what is this for? Oh, podcast. Cool.
that's right. So really, the idea for this podcast for everyone that's listening is in July, the 13th and 14th, we are doing a mastermind live 2025 event. So, and that's where we're getting people that have been part of the mastermind that are absolutely kicking goals or have kicked goals. You know, mastermind we've been doing now for just over 12 months, and it's been great that some of the things that we're going, but we just thought we'd do a live for it this year. And, previously we've done conferences, we've done lead machine events, but this year we're doing a mastermind live,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about it. I'm actually, my first session I'm doing on the best three ways, which is basically the book that I wrote. So if you're watching the video, I'm holding up the book. It's my second book that I did write, and I really should be spending the whole 2 days just on that strategies. But I've got 90 minutes to get that out, and I'm really excited because the investor support service is part of it. But Kelly, this is about you. So Kelly, why don't you, for people that haven't seen our previous podcast, you need to go back and watch them, but quickly tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, your area you cover,
Yeah.
etc.
So I'm Kelly. I own Hunter Property Management, which is a property management only agency based in the Hunter Valley, not as per Darren's last name, although he might like that. So yeah, we manage about 130 properties. I've got a small team of a few part-time girls, a VA, and we outsource our trust accounting. And that's kind of us. We've been in business for almost 2 years, and I've been doing property management for about 10.
Awesome. So, why did you get into property management on your own? Why did you decide to get into real estate? And why did you decide to start your own business?
I was talking to my friends about that this week, or probably this morning, honestly, and it's kind of a bit crazy looking back because I'd been working in property management, had maternity leave, went back to working part-time, and then opened a business. And I hadn't even like run a department. So kind of how we got here is just a bit of like fumbling, I suppose, but essentially I kind of fell in love with doing BDM stuff even though I was working part-time in property management. And that's when I got my hands on your book, started reading things and implementing things in my own time, made my own Hunter Valley Property Manager Instagram page, and kind of loved all the things that I was able to do with that. And I kind of found that although I've always done property management and it's what I kind of live and breathe, I really had a passion for doing like the social media stuff and the BDM stuff. And although it wasn't my job, I kind of started converting a bit of business and even spending my days where I wasn't working, kind of doing the appointments and reaching out to people. So that's kind of how it all fell into place. I had a couple of opportunities come across my lap where I was working, wasn't really interested in them. And I thought, you know what? I've built these great relationships with these people. They want to, give me business. I would be silly to not pass up this opportunity to maybe use that business to create something for myself. And that's exactly what I did. They said, they kind of encouraged me to do so. They said, you know what, I think you'd be really great on your own. And whether you decide to stay or go, we'll stick by you. And that's kind of what gave me the confidence to move into creating something for myself.
And Kelly, how easy you just like explain that. It speaks volumes about why you're doing so well. And just so
Thank
everyone
you.
knows, Kelly's talking about my first book, which was the PM Lead Secrets, which is this one here. If
Yeah.
you're watching, you can see that. I've only got about 50 books left from 2000. So
Wow.
my next book has just been, I just finished it. And you're going
I
to get a
highly
copy of it.
recommend.
You're going to get a copy of my new one, Kelly, at the
Yeah, good,
2-day
good.
event, Mastermind Live. Okay,
I
so
honestly took
you
that first book and went front to back with a highlighter when I opened my business, and I just did every single thing that was in that book.
it's interesting, and I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but I remember I was watching all of your content on social media, and I went, this girl, I'm watching this girl, and eventually I just rang you up and I just said, I want to congratulate on everything you've done, and you were like, oh my goodness, I'm doing everything in your book, I read your book, blah blah blah, and I was like, hang on a minute, I'm ringing to
Really?
congratulate you, and it
Nah,
was,
literally, I was just like, yeah. Even the
but I was
podcast, I just
ringing
listened to
to
podcasts
say
and I would
thank you
just
to
do it.
you, yeah, and well done, which is great. So now, what's your favorite strategy? Like, what's the like? There's let's say there's 28 strategies, and I say that because I'm releasing 28 in my next book. Right? There's more than 28, but I'm only doing 28 in my next book. But what is your favorite rent roll growth strategy? What's your favorite strategy in growing your business?
Yeah. I think I obviously like started off with a big social media focus, but that is something that kind of drops off and picks up kind of depending on what's happening in my life at the time. So but I think time and time again the strategy that really works for us has been strategic alliances. So if I think about, how new business comes into my business, it's time and time again referrals, and they're all, relationships that I've built over time. And from the very beginning, I made a lot of reach outs and just kind of put myself out there to see who would be interested in working with us. And those relationships that I started to build then from the book suggesting it and then have maintained throughout the years have really been the best strategy for my business's growth at the beginning and continual growth right through until now.
Look, I love it because strategic alliances, you know, these are businesses that are in your local community, and sometimes they're not, but they work in your local community. Um, you know,
Yeah,
they're out there screaming your name, they're referring business to you, and this is before the landlord has even purchased a property, in a lot of
yeah,
cases as well.
exactly.
So, it's great that, so by the time a sales agent does, say your name, and hopefully they're saying the same name as everyone else, that trust is just instilled from if it's a financial planner to a conveyancer to an accountant to a mortgage broker and then a sales agent, and each person has said they need to speak to Kelly, then that fee does not come into it at all.
Yeah, a lot of
fees
the
doesn't
things
come
that
into it.
come through to me, that's exactly right. They've already built the relationship with the person they're coming from. So it's just more, can you get me the paperwork, or getting on the phone or a Zoom, or getting out there if you can, putting a face to the name. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's a lot of people out there advocating for your business while you're doing other things. I just think it's a really maybe like undervalued like strength that you can have for your business.
Love it. I love it. Music to my ears. I love it. Like, but from a coach's point of view,
Yeah.
we get a buzz when we see people getting success out of what they've been taught, and it's great. So now, what about social media? So social media in the world today, and it has been for years. I've been screaming this for years, but especially more now than ever. And guess what? I'll say the same thing next year. It's even more important now than it was in 2025, right? But what works
Yeah.
on social media for you?
I think for me, I like to point my current clients and my prospective clients and my referrers or anybody to my social media, because for me, it's also a way for them to feel like they're connecting to me. So I might not have time to speak with everyone, connect with everyone, but if they're all seeing me showing up on social media, they feel like they're kind of hearing from me. So I like to use Instagram and LinkedIn. And the reason I use both of those is because that's what I personally use the most. And I find it's easier to upkeep a pattern of showing up when you're kind of drifting towards those apps anyway on a day to day basis. So I
Yeah.
find, yeah, LinkedIn really quite good. You've got newsletters on there, you can connect with so many other professionals, which also helps with not just like finding direct landlords, but also strategic alliances and strengthening your brand. And then Instagram, I really think that stories is a very easy way if you don't have time to sit down and plan your content. Um, you can just show up in your stories every single day, and people are nosy. They want to see what you're doing. So I think the really easy way to show up is just show people what you're doing in your day, because people are usually sitting at work and they do want to see what you're up to, or they do want to see inside that house. So I think for me, that's the two that I use. And again, it's easy for me to do because they're the ones I'm just picking up and using day to day as a user anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about stories, Kelly, because
Yeah.
um, I find that when I am on Instagram, even Facebook now, and LinkedIn is also doing the stories, right?
Oh.
The reels, right? And
Mm,
you, I look there first. That's where I look
mm.
first. First, I'll check the notifications for messages and that, but you're looking at the stories. It's because it's
You are.
instant.
Yeah.
It's like the now, which is,
Mm.
so I like to look at social media as it's a living website. So we've got our website, but social media is living. Now, I do want to bring something else up. You've mentioned a couple of the platforms, but you've got a Facebook group, right? That is a
I do.
strategy
Yeah.
that I've been training on for a while, but you're one of the only people that have done it, and I
Yeah.
do talk about this when I go in and do in-office training. I actually show them a screenshot of your page,
Yeah.
your profile, right? You
Yes, I
know,
have
so
a
you,
group.
you
Yeah.
so you've created your own community, right, of your raving fans. So you've got landlords in there,
Hmm.
you've got tenants in there as well, because you can showcase
Hmm.
this property's coming up for rent. And
Yeah.
what about strategic alliances?
Yeah. So anyone who wants to go in there can. I really don't mind. I think
Hmm.
there is a couple of questions that you've got to fill out just so we can kind of understand who you are. But basically, it's an off-market and education group, because I just feel like, if we're all educated and on the same page, it's easier for landlords and tenants and agents to kind of all have the same expectations. So within groups, there's actually a section where you can have files. So I upload things in there like how to make sure your application is a standout, stuff like that. So there's files in there that could be helpful for tenants and landlords. There's also like a kind of a training section in there. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's basically modules in there that they can
Hmm.
complete, and that could be a series of like videos or just posts written by me, and they can kind of progress through the modules and it will track where they're up to. So if they then want to come back to them another time and pick up from where they left off, they can. So I think that's a really cool part of the group. And then, yeah, I share anything that's upcoming, because a lot of the time I know quite far in advance that properties are coming up. So I'm always sharing like a video or a photo or any information I can about those properties ahead of time, because obviously if, we list them 6 weeks out from availability, the listing's going to go stale. So it's just another avenue for me to kind of share what's coming up. If there's no one in there that's interested, like that's totally fine. But at least it's a kind of another thing that I can offer my clients, and it's another way to, maybe just gather some interest in the lead up to it becoming available.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, what you've done is exactly what we suggest that people should be doing. Like for any real estate agent out there that's listening, obviously Inspired Growth Training, we've got the IGT Inner Circle. So it's a
Yeah.
platform where we let people know in there before we do any marketing of an upcoming event. Or, for example, I went to Brisbane last week. So a couple of weeks prior, I said, "Hey guys, I'm going to be in Brisbane. Who wants to catch up for dinner?" It's where we post first. Little did I know it was the night of State of Origin, and no one was interested. But someone ended up buying me a ticket. Emily Gordon, one of our amazing, beautiful clients, and also a presenter at the Mastermind Live 2025 event. So it worked out well, and my team won. So that's even more
Yes,
important.
that's always a win.
Yeah, but so the thing I love about Facebook groups, right? So with the IGT in the circle, with your own group, you're feeding your community and you're turning your fans into absolute raving fans.
Yeah.
So we often run polls, so you could do the same thing. We often ask questions to get the pain of what people are suffering, but it's all about creating that community. So, well done for that. What other platforms are you on social media? So LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously for
Yeah.
the group, and
I'm on
then you've got,
everything really,
Mhm.
technically. Like I'm on everything, but I know I just don't have the time for it all. But however, when I do have the time, and I sit down and plan content, I use Plannable, and it will just post out to everything. So it'll go to both my Instagrams, because I've got Hunter Property Management for the business, and I also have Hunter Valley Property Manager, and that's on
Yep.
Instagram and Facebook. So it'll go to both the Instagrams, both the Facebooks. It'll go to my personal LinkedIn, my company LinkedIn. I do have TikTok, but I don't use TikTok, just because I just don't. I feel like it takes another section of my brain to like create content that's good for TikTok. It's kind of not stuff that can just be pushed out from everywhere else. So it is
Yep.
there,
Yep.
but we don't really use it. Maybe every now and then. I think that's it.
So if I can
Yeah.
just encourage you with your TikTok, I would,
Yes.
you know, because we've got so many different platforms to watch movies on these days, right?
Mm.
Netflix, there's the Foxtel
Oh,
app now.
YouTube.
You've got YouTube as well, which is good, yeah.
Yeah.
But we've got
Yeah.
all of these platforms: Apple TV, Netflix, Disney Channel, Prime, the lot, right? So they've all got the same audience, but it's a different age group on the audience, and they all like different types of movies. They're all doing movies, right? But they're
Mm.
different movies. So you've got to look at, social media the same way. There's a different audience. I tend to find there's more of a tenant audience on TikTok,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
There are landlords on there, but it is a more tenant one. And it is the platform that there's the most keyboard warriors of all time,
And
right?
that's
Now,
another reason why I don't have time for it, because I'm like, oh, I could, but again, I feel like it needs a more planned out, specific type of content than the general stuff that I'm providing. And I'm like, do I have time to deal with these keyboard warriors
yeah,
today?
it's a
Probably.
different mental. It is a different mental avenue. Look, we've got an agency that's part of our peak performance community, and she's absolutely kicking goals and winning landlords over on TikTok, right?
You
So,
absolutely can. Yeah.
it's really, but it does the mental capacity. It can take over your life, so people do have to be very mindful of that. I do recommend, as a minimum, I'd be posting at least twice a week to your TikTok. It If I was coaching you, Kelly, and giving you some full support. Now,
Yeah.
she didn't quite roll her eyes, okay, everyone that's listening.
It's not, and I like, I used to do walkthrough videos of our houses and go, this is what you can get for $650 per week in XYZ suburb. So I'm not totally opposed to it. I just think I need to sit down and plan specific
Yeah,
content for that that's not kind of generally stuff that's able to be just shared across platforms.
all the
So
platforms different.
I
Yeah,
do intend to have time for that. I just don't have it right now.
that's cool. I get it. I'm
Yeah.
cool. The coach just comes out of me. I'm sorry.
I
Okay,
know, I know, I know.
and she's
It's
not
in my
rolling her
brain
eyes.
somewhere. No, it's in my brain somewhere.
Okay, my last question for you, we do have the Mastermind Live 2025 that's coming up. I'm really excited to have you there. Like, this is the first time okay, I got you on stage in 2023 and I just
Yeah,
dragged you
what
up,
was that
right?
about? Gee whiz, yeah.
But this time you're going to have the opportunity to share. Like, I already
Yeah.
know and we'll have a sit down and we'll dig deep in on your topics and stuff. But for somebody that's coming to the event, it's a 2 day event, and yes, we're going to be doing things the night before. We'll probably do something in the night of, in the middle, and then on the last day. But what tips have you got somebody that's never been to a conference, or they have been to a conference? So if you think the first time you came to an IGT event, what tips have you got for someone that's going and there's going to be all of these people there? They're all hungry for rent roll growth. There's all these speakers there, and other attendees. What tips have you got for someone that's going to turn up?
Yeah, I think take a big notepad with you and a pen. Don't forget your pen as well. I like to write things down, and so you might be, a solo person with a PM business, you might be in a big team, but either way, I'd write down anything that you want to implement, who's going to implement it, how often it needs to happen, and just write down kind of a plan on how you're going to put that into place when you get back to the office and put it somewhere where you're going to remember. So each of my staff have like a dashboard in Trello, and they put their to do things in there. So for me, if I was there and I'm trying to write down new strategies, I'd be putting them into my to do list on Trello or straight into my Teams, which I have access to on my phone, on what it is I want them to do and how I want them to do it. I'd also be taking photos of the slides on the screen and uploading those into the card, stuff like that. I think whatever it is you want to do, you want to make sure that when you walk away, you're actually going to do something with it. So come up with a plan ahead of time on how you can implement that, or like write down kind of your intentions and then send it through to whoever it is in the office you want them to do something with it, or start putting it into your calendar, or kind of maybe set some side of time after the day's over to go through and, spend some time on how you intend on implementing it. Because otherwise, I feel like you take it all in, you're writing it all down, you have best intentions, but maybe you don't necessarily actually do anything with it.
Yeah, great tips because you're right.
Yeah.
We often talk about 95% of the people that attend an event don't actually do anything. They gain
Mm.
motivation, they gain friendships, but they're not actually going back and, getting a return on investment for that rent roll growth.
In the
So,
past, I've
that,
also taken photos of slides, taken notes, and then put them all into their own drive. So, for example, if we had like Dennis speaking, I would take whatever I wanted from his session, upload it into a folder on my drive straight from my phone immediately into a Dennis and whatever your talk was called folder. Then the same with Darren into a folder. So then when I go back through it, it's all organized. I've done it straight from my phone, really easy to just go back through, digest, remember what's in association to what, and then make a plan.
yeah, that great tips. And if you don't have Trello, another easy thing, the Notes app on your iPhone,
Yeah.
you can take photos on there, you can scan documents on there, and you can actually have all of that in there, and then you can email that or you can share the document. If there's a team of people, you can actually create a document where everyone is collaborating on it in the notes. So, so then
I've
you're
done
adding
that too.
notes,
Yeah.
yeah, which is really good and easy to do as well. Kelly, we could talk for hours. I said to you I wanted to keep this to 20
Forever.
minutes. We were already at like 24.
We did
We,
pretty
we,
well, I think.
well, I think we've done very well, but I mean,
Yeah.
I could have dug in deeper and asked more questions and broken things down, but that's what the Mastermind Live event's for.
Hmm.
We'll
Yeah.
go in
Yeah.
deeper and have some really great conversations, and we'll allow people to have question time and stuff like that. But they're going to have 2 days with you. right? So
Yeah,
my tip for
I'll be there.
people is Kelly's going to be on stage for a certain amount of time, but you can talk to her during the lunch break. Don't be
Hmm.
scared to talk to the other speakers. Go up, say hello, get their phone numbers, connect with them on socials. And speaking of Kelly, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Yes, I'll be tagging you in the
Yeah.
posts on socials.
Kelly Smyth, SMYTH, on LinkedIn, or Hunter Valley Property Manager on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my life, is on that Instagram. So definitely there.
Excellent, Kelly. Beautiful having you here. Really appreciate it. Love
Thanks
connecting
for
with you all
having
the
me.
time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up with you at the event. Thank
Me
you for your
too.
time. And if anyone's got any questions, you know to reach out. Or if anyone wants to grow their rent roll, growmyrentroll.com. Book in a time for a free complimentary discovery call. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kelly.